Hello, everybody, and welcome to today's session on AI for work. We are going to today explore the transformative power of generative AI and how it can revolutionize the way that you work. If you could automate one task in your day using ChatGPT, what would it be? I'd love you to have a think about that and bring that to mind as we go through the next hour. So you might find some additional use cases as we're going through that as well. So my name is Alexia O'Brien. I'm an AI for work trainer and business coach. A little bit about my background. I'm a simple AI consultant, and I'm a former finance and retail exec. I was the GM at Lululemon and Rip Curl, and I've worked for Lorna Jane at an executive level. I'm a graduate of the AICD, so I really bring a governance mindset as well to AI and how we're using it, both for innovation and competitive advantage, as well as risk and compliance and data safety. I'm a former chartered accountant, and I look forward to taking you on the journey today. So I had the benefit of going to the AICD conference, which was all about governance, in March of this year. And we had the pleasure of listening to Dr. Ayesha Khanna from Singapore, and she's been in this space for over 30 years in machine learning. And absolutely agree with the sentiment that the purpose of AI is really to amplify human potential, not replace it, but augment our decision-making and streamline workflows. And one of the things, yes, she spoke about governance and how we need to, certainly as directors and executives, protect our organizations and mitigate risk. However, she said that there is not a single business on the planet that shouldn't be using generative AI to make roles more productive and stay ahead on innovation. I hear often, I know I need to get into this, but I just don't know where to start. And probably more prevalent the last few weeks, I just don't even know what's possible. So I'd like to take you through our overall program. And at Simple Academy, we have 3 flagship training programs underneath the umbrella of AI for Work. We have the AI Foundations, AI for Leaders, and AI for Executives. Our Foundations course is really about getting started with AI and understanding how to use AI more productively. And it's kind of like the base level that we want to get absolutely everybody in the organization across. Our AI for Leaders program is then about how do we manage and lead a team that is actively using AI productively. And then lastly, we've touched on it already, but as an executive, how do I manage and lead a company thinking about strategy and risk and mitigation that is now AI powered? Because there is one thing for sure, AI is here, it's not going anywhere, and it is absolutely going to change the way that we work into the future. But before we get into all that, let's just have a quick conversation about why AI. So, things are moving so fast in the AI world. One of the first things to understand is that employees want AI, whether we have policies that are, cutting them off, or we're ignoring it and saying, you know what, it'll be for next year. Microsoft recently generated or put out a report that shows 75% of global knowledge workers are currently using AI at work. And most surprisingly, the majority of these users have only started using it in the last 6 months. So that is a shift that is happening that is completely unprecedented when it comes to technology adoption at work. The second one is those people who are starting to use AI, especially power users, are saying that it's helping. And it's helping them save time. 90% of them are saying that, which isn't surprising. 85% of them are saying it's helping them focus on their most important work. And 84% say it's actually helping them to be more creative because it's taking away the mundane piece and giving them more brain space. And 83% are actually saying it helps them to enjoy their work a bit more. So people are using it, they want it, and it's helping. So the third thing to know is that companies, and maybe you can insert your competition here, they're actually specifically hiring for these skills. 66% of leaders are saying that they actually wouldn't hire anybody in the future without those skills. And 71% of them would say they would actually rather hire a less experienced candidate with AI skills than a more experienced candidate without them. So companies are on the lookout now for folks that have that skill set. So if you're looking to transition roles yourself anytime within the next 12 to 18 months, this is definitely something to keep in mind. So why now? And finally, these numbers have gone from 0 to 50% in just the last 12 months. And this is really with as bad as AI is actually ever going to be. So they are going to continue to grow to over 100 to up to 100% in the next 12 months. So we're right in the middle of that AI curve where AI is a tool that employees want. It's making them more productive. So now is the time to start thinking about how best to equip them. And why now? Why is now the exact right time to be doing this? Well, there's a few reasons for this. And one of the reasons is that for the very first time, we are figuring out how to actually get real work done, not just play with the text in, text out, and isn't this a lot of fun, but how we can actually get real work done better, faster, and cheaper. So I also want to share, I've touched on this already, that, this is as bad as it's ever going to be. So the little dot in purple here is what the supercomputer was actually trained on for ChatGPT-4. At the top, you can see there's three size of whales and fishes, the ChatGPT-3, GPT-4. So GPT-5 will be released over the North American summer, and this will be the volume of information that the new GPT is being trained on. So moral of the story, these tools and platforms are continuing to evolve at an exponential rate. So it's our opportunity to absolutely get with the program and stay ahead of the wave. So right now, before I dive into the actual white belt training, which I'll take you through step by step today, I'm actually going to take you through what we call an AI agent, which is taking a whole process that I certainly, as a GM, have outsourced to a marketing agency and spent tens of thousands of dollars doing. So I am going to flip over now into ChatGPT. I'm going to use this a lot today, and as I go through the sequence a little bit later on, I encourage you to fire it up. If Microsoft Copilot is your tool of choice, you can fire that up as well. But to get started, this is the kind of tool that we are teaching people in any business how to do and apply to their role. It will take us through, this is an outbound marketing sequence. So I'm just going to click on this and say, let's get started. So it's going to come up with, this is one of our community developed this. He was an actual marketing agency owner previously, and this is work that his teams actually would do. So I'm going to pick this example up and pop it in here. And what it's going to do is we're going to transition through various roles within a marketing agency. So the first step is it's taken it over to a customer psychology expert. And again, you can apply this to your business and anything that you're doing. It is going to come up here with your core customers' psychology. So what are your ideal customer, their dreams, the outcomes that they're really resonating with, they want to achieve, some of their past values. So it was initially, I create AI training to help business coaches launch $1 million a year consultancy. So some of their dreams, they want financial freedom, they want business growth, industry recognition. Some of their past failures have been inadequate training, lack of support, fears, unspoken fears that they might worry about related to your product or service, suspicions, probably on their mind as they're making a decision whether to engage and buy your services or not. And lastly, enemies that might prevent your customers from moving forward with you. So that is the first step. And not only does it cost lots of money, it generally takes lots of time. Marketing agencies and their core psychology experts will come in and interview many people to get a real handle on this inside your business. So the next step, it's handed over to the brand story expert, who's now created the hero's journey. So the hero's journey takes you through, the character, again, putting your customer front and center, so that you can start to develop marketing material off the back of this today. It's going to be our outbound marketing sequence. So our hero, as business coaches, we already spoke about that. They have a problem. They've got an external problem, an internal problem, and a philosophical problem. They meet a guide, so your company, who understands with empathy how challenging and intimidating it can be. and they are demonstrating their authority, who gives them a plan, who calls them to action, that helps them avoid failure and ends in success. So I'm flying through this really quickly. When being an AI trainer like this, and my experience of this agent is it's pretty spot on. It's about 80% there. So just for the purpose of this, I am going to continue with this course, but what I would normally do if I'm working with a client is actually interact with them to make sure we get it 100%. So this next part is we're going to send it over again, we're inside the marketing agent to a copywriter team who is going to start to come up with how many emails do you want in your outbound marketing sequence. Just for the sake of this exercise, I've done it over a month and created 3 a week. I'm going to go across a week and I'm going to ask it to do Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. It understands what I mean just by typing that in. And it is now going to create a series of outbound emails. So here we've got Monday, ready to launch your consultancy. And it's using the core customer psychology as well as the hero's journey in the sequence of the emails to create the output. So our Wednesday email is all about unlocking the secrets to the consultancy, and our Friday email is, last chance, transform your business with AI training. Now, next step, we're going to take it to the creative director who's going to review it. One thing that we learn and teach in training is that if you ask ChatGPT to review its work and make recommendations for improvement, this is a tip that you can take away from today, it will do that and get infinitely better. So highly recommend trying that on. It's like, okay, whatever you've outputted, can you give me some review the above output and make recommendations to improve it. So it has done that here. You can see that it's given me some recommendations. Improvement suggestions, a revised opening, a tone adjustment, and then it's given me the actual output and all the way through. So again, down in our 3rd email. So I am now going to get that back to our copywriter for our final draft. And as I spoke about earlier, return on investment, being a business coach, very important to me. We've actually built into the back of these a calculation to show if this was normally done inside an agency, this is how much time and how much money it would cost. How long have we been doing this? It's a couple of minutes. We've created a 3 email sequence. It's doing it faster than I can certainly type, but we are ready to wrap this up and figure out, what was the bill? What did it cost us to do this? Or what's our return on investment? So based on how many hours it would normally take versus how many hours it actually costs us. So it's come up with an estimate of about 15 grand. And I have certainly paid that in just the first 2 processes alone. So I am now going to flip back to my presentation. So this is what we call an AI agency tool. And this is what we are teaching absolutely everybody who goes through our AI Foundations program to do. This is a brown belt level tool. And it goes, a flow from a client across multiple different roles and a deliverable back to a client. So it's, hard to believe that from the very beginning, this is actually what's going to happen. And from what our experience in our training programs is that absolutely everybody who goes through this training can build these types of tools. What we are going to do now for the rest of our session is actually go and take you through a high-level overview of each of our belts. So get that ChatGPT ready. But before we start, just want to point out a couple of things. One is that, certainly this was a learning that I had, is that it is as much about psychology and mindset as it is about technology. And it's also about mentoring others through it so that we can call this a human-to-human powered AI process. And we are going to tell some stories along the way as well. One story about a stay-at-home mum who was previously deathly afraid of technology, who actually beat her CEO through black belt training and some of the outputs that she's now creating. We have a fractional CFO who's been through our program who used to give up 20 hours a month on a weekend to do month-end financial reporting for clients, who is now getting it done in 2 hours during the week. And an overwork manager who was hiring high turnover positions, 300 or plus applicants, who then used this program to build tools to help her get faster at assessing who should even get to go through to an interview rather than reading through 280, 300 plus CVs. So she wrote that program herself after going through our course. So it's as much about making people's lives better, not just about removing people from the workforce. Okay, so now let's get into the AI Foundations preview. So to give you a preview of each of our belts, and then we'll actually step into doing some of the work that we would take you through in our training program. So our white belt is all about getting comfortable with the base model tools. And we're going to show you all of the different input and output combinations today that you can use with these tools, as well as some potential use cases that you mightn't have thought of. In our yellow belt, we're going to start to use, apologies for the rooster outside my window if you can hear it. We are going to start to use AI to be more productive, specifically in your role. We walk you through 5 different tasks that you can do, and we give you the scripts and the program, being the English language program, in order to uncover how do I actually get better in my role, in my task, and certainly leveraging ChatGPT or AI. We'll then talk about our orange belt, which is all about using AI as your cognitive super assistant and basically having any of the world's top experts. So from Gary Vee, Adam Grant, Brené Brown, any of them, Anthony Robbins, in any area of business in your pocket 24 hours a day. So we are teaching people how to actually write their own cognitive super assistant role coach. In the green belt, this is where we actually start to dive into how do we teach you to build the AI tools that will help solve your biggest problem. The biggest insight that we have found as we're going through this is it's actually mostly always faster to build the tool than it is to do the work manually once. So we're going to show every employee in your organization how to build their own role coach through this program and each of these steps. In our blue belt, then, we're going to start talking about creating tools that create the 100x improvement in actual work processes. We'll give you a step-by-step process to work through in order to accomplish that. And I found personally that it was something that, 100x, that's quite a lot, let alone 1000x, but I definitely had to experience it myself to really understand how that was actually going to be possible. The purple belt is all about exploring the future. And this is that psychology component, helping you and your teams understand the future of your role and how you can provide even more value and upskill yourself into the organization of the future. Our brown belt then is where we start to work with those AI agents that I demonstrated before. And what it is basically an automation of a series of GPTs to get the output that you need. So those kind of tools can routinely create 1,000 times improvement because it's actually not just one specific task. It's like I showed you before, it's multiple roles across different departments. And at that level, you can recognize that there are many, many hours. I mean, I couldn't even type as fast as it was outputting, compressed down into a couple of minutes in the tool that we just went through. And then finally, black belt. This is where we end up talking about, this is all about mentoring others through that human-to-human AI-powered human process. So before we hop into showing you specifically through the work of these trainings, obviously we can't compress absolutely every single belt into this 1 hour, but I do want to give you the way our programs are structured is that we review the program where we're at today, what we've learned so far. We actually run through the belt training. We then give, for every single belt, we give belt homework. So we actually don't want to just teach people so that they know about it. We actually want to know that they know how to do it. And then we review that homework and certify them as they're going through. Yeah, and at the end of each belt training, which we probably won't have time for too much today, there is always a session for Q&A. So people get that on live in-person help and assistance as they're going through. So hopping right into our white belt training. So this is all about getting comfortable with the base model tools. The first part of this program, not much to review at this point, but this is where we will go through that part of the training. So into the training itself, first step, have a GPT account. This is also where I'd say if you haven't installed the GPT app, or if you're using Copilot on your phone, I would suggest doing that, because there are different functionality and modalities, which I will demonstrate today using your phone, which really is one of the things that I love about that, about ChatGPT the most, and I'll explain why in a bit. And we're going to jump in. So the first modality, I want you to think of like modality is input and output as text. And think of output as the actual deliverable we want from the interaction that we're having with GPT. Now, this is the one that most people are familiar with and that they play with. It's an incredibly powerful modality. So some of the potential use cases, we have, strategic decision support or crisis management. Leadership coaching is one, as a leadership and business coach, that I use quite a lot of. I have just sold the platform with access to a whole bunch of leadership tools that a coach is then going to use to enhance his coaching effectiveness for his clients. And it will take his people through, okay, well, if I'm struggling in the specific area of accountability, how can we develop a playbook around that? So it's really starting to bring to life, rather than going and reading a static content piece or a book related to how do I get accountable. As a leadership coach, I've been guilty of giving that as homework to my coaching clients. But how can we now start to incorporate our GPTs to be a leadership coaching tool? I'm struggling with this. This is the goal that I'm trying to achieve. How do I bridge the gap? This is I'll type this in the chat. So this is what we call a, I've forgotten the name of it. I'm just going to pop it in the chat for you so you can actually play along with this. So I am trying to and I'm struggling with obstacle. List all the ways that you can help me, so you can actually play along with this. So my version of this that I'm going to use, I'm going to pop over into ChatGPT. It's called a meta level prompt, is the word that I was looking for. I'm going to pop over into ChatGPT and I'm going to type that in here. So I'm going to say, I'm trying to get people to sign up for my webinar and I am struggling to drive traffic to a landing page. List all of the ways that you can help me. So if there is one thing that you take away from this session, if you're struggling to do anything, just go to ChatGPT or Copilot and enter this prompt, and it will help you. It'll help you get unstuck. It'll help you figure out how to do something. It'll tell you how ChatGPT and AI can actually help you get unstuck in that area as well. So you can see that it has given me options like email marketing, social media marketing, partnerships and collaborations. And one thing that I might like to do here is say, okay, from here, I want to learn more about a cross-promotion webinar. So rather than just like responding in text in this box here, if you've got a whole bunch of output and you want to update it or go deeper in it, you just click on that, highlight the little exclamation marks and say, go deeper on this. Or edit this. I don't like the way you've said that, change that, and it will answer that specific section rather than rewriting the whole thing again. So as you can see here, it's going a lot deeper now in webinar and online events. I'll just give that a sec to finish up. So the one thing we also know is that this is obviously the paid version 4.0, which was released 3 weeks ago. They are getting incredibly fast, and the answers are getting a lot better as well. So rather than just going deeper, it's even given me some example implementation plans. So all I did was enter, 2 sentences, and it's now gone super deep and given me some actual examples, including scripts for email follow-ups as well. So, and this is, again, as bad as AI is ever going to be. Jumping back into our next combination, which will be inputting text and outputting an image. So potential use cases for this, whole bunch. So branding concepts, infographic creation, which is getting better and better, visualization, creating marketing material, etc. So if you have an idea for something, you might be working with a graphic designer, you can actually use ChatGPT. It mightn't be the end output, but you can give your graphic designer a bit of an idea of what you're working on and where you're heading to. Moving along using the same theme in the chat that we were using before, this script, I'll pop it in so you can play along with me. I'll pop it in the chat. So I help clients, what my client is, do X, and I am writing a book called Y, create a cover for me. So I'm going to go back to my example that I used before with the consultants and the AI agency. I'm going to pop that in here and let that generate. Now, it has, I ran this morning and it was perfect first time. It can and does, oh, it's not actually listening to me. Sometimes it will go off piece. I'm going to say stop. I actually want to please create this image for me. And that's actually not true. So this is an example of ChatGPT not playing ball, but I will just try one more time and I will show you. I used exactly the same prompt this morning and it's doing the same thing again. So here's the here's what I did this morning, just to show you that it will actually deliver, because I use this all the time for my YouTube shorts, as well as my thumbnails and product covers. Sorry, let me just head back up to here we go. Sorry, there it is there. So this is the book cover that did, and it actually spelled it correct first time. So what I've experienced is there is often spelling mistakes in here. So there is actually one, I missed that this morning, one L. Again, it is in the last 6 to 8 weeks, it has gotten significantly better here. So I will generally download that. I use these images also for my social chats, because all my social posts in LinkedIn that are all related to AI as well. So heaps of different modalities that you can use for the text to image as well. Okay, the next one is text to code. So again, a lot of different use cases here, especially if you are in development. You can create software extract scripts and connect with APIs and all kinds of fun stuff. Especially if you are working with a developer, it's a way to reduce the cost of development work. Now, the purists and the developers have given, said, look, it's just not great text. However, it is a base level start, but it's also a way to debug potentially if you have developers that leave you in the lurch, or if you have developers that you want to check, what are they actually doing and what is this telling me? So our next little example is I actually want to create a website for the book that I had it create before. So going back into ChatGPT, I actually want to create the code for that book. I'm just going to go back into this example here and get it to give me the code for this book. So it's going to give me the HTML and the CSS template for it as we're going through. And you can copy this code when it is done and download it copy it into a Word doc or an email file. Again, like I said, will it be the best code? No, but it will be enough to absolutely get you started. And at the bottom here, what it has started doing, this is a new part of this instruction, it's not just giving me the output in code, it will also, if it doesn't prove me a liar, actually give me notes on how to use it as well. instructions on how to use that work. Okay, so next we want to go from text to file. So heaps of different use cases for this. So input, output combinations like financial planning documents, generating reports. One thing I use this a lot for is updating or creating, merging document policies, creating policies, AI acceptable use policies, certainly from a governance lens is a GPT that I've specifically written for this, and learning how to create, custom templates that I want, this data to come out in this particular output format. So what I am going to do now is take that that file that we had just created, the CSS and HTML file, and I'm going to ask it to create a downloadable file for me. So what I found is when I ask it to do export it as a Word or a PowerPoint, it won't do it because Copilot is Microsoft's AI. However, if you ask it to, no, it's actually not going to give it to me. It's going to prove me a liar again this morning. So I think first go was best. I actually, please turn this code into a downloadable file for me. And I've got a spelling mistake. It understands what I'm saying. It's just plain difficult today. If you do have it stop on you, just click that little regenerate button here. So it has created that now as a zip file, and if you download that, it'll be where your usual download files are normally saved. Okay, so our next combination of input output is voice to text. So I'm actually not going to demonstrate this today. I will show you how to do that in your phone, but a couple of different use cases for this. You could dictate emails when you're out on a run or a walk. You could record feedback or your thoughts, get it to output it to a text that you could copy straight into an email format. An example that I use, I was driving to Canberra a couple of months ago to see my daughter, and I'd forgotten to write a letter of support for my son and his wife. Needed to be quite a formal letter to the Australian Embassy. I was all over the shop. I didn't have the Australian Embassy address. I said, hey, I need this letter. They got married. I've known her for 3 years. She's a dentistry student, blah, blah, blah. It was all over the shop, and it did a really fantastic job of, here was the Australian Embassy address, very formal structure. It structured it really, really well, and I only had to edit a couple of minor things. I got to the other end, copied and pasted it straight into an email, signed it, and sent it off. So that saved me a lot of time. And the other thing about using the phone back to the desktop version is it will have the history of the chats that will sync. So you can have created a chat and then, step away from your desk, interact with the same chat, and it will sync. So I could go into, so you might see down here, so this is the ChatGPT version. Right down the bottom there's a set of headphones in the corner. If I click on that, and I'm just going to, good morning, how are you, GPT? I would like to, for the book that, actually don't think sorry. Yes, I'm in the right section. I'll just do that again. Okay, that's great. Give me 3 more things to consider doing for the launch of this book.
Absolutely. Here are 3 additional things to consider doing for a successful launch of your book, The $1 Million.
So I'm going to stop that now, but it will not only give it to me verbally, it will actually, before it's even finished speaking, it will have outputted it into the text chat as well, and have completely synced. There was something else I was going to say there. I do find that one particularly useful because I am always on the go and always on the run. So being able to track thoughts, draft emails, even do research. So if I'm looking to, okay, I heard this on the radio, can you update me and go deeper? It's like having, Google search verbally, and it's talking to me as I'm driving along as well. So moving along to our next modality, we are going to do input from image and output to text. So this is really interesting because you can try to analyze documents. You could do competitive analysis on different websites, visual data analysis, or get brand compliance checks maybe if you're having someone do working on your website or doing some social marketing agency. Maybe you could take a snapshot of something that's come in from a marketing agency and make sure it actually adheres to your brand guidelines, which is super useful. Also getting product feedback based on designs that you've created, as well as I think I already touched on some product analysis as well. So what I'm going to now do is ask ChatGPT to explain a slide to us. Now, I use this all the time. If I go and create slides, or I'm at a seminar, I'll take pictures and I'll throw it into ChatGPT and get it to extract the text so I actually don't have to type it out. Or I'll throw my PowerPoint slides up, and I'll actually then ask it to create my own speaking notes from those slides. So that is incredibly useful. So I'm going to use this slide. And we will come back to this further along in our chat. This is actually the secret to working with AI in our GPT. So I'm going to ask it to explain this slide to me. I'll head over back to my GPT. And what you'll see, so this chat's actually playing up. I'm going to start a new chat. So it doesn't store the wobblies in memory, and I'm going to just drop that in. You can take a snapshot, save it, or just drag it in from somewhere that you have filed it away. Let me just head to my folder. I'm going to drop that snip in down below, and it's going to upload. So what we're going to do, get it to analyze, explain that slide to me. And what we'll see is it actually does a pretty good job. Like, there's no text really on this file. It's breaking it down by the sections and walking through the steps that it's created there, the envision. Again, it's actually coming up with these explanations, and the efficiency comparison, as well as the ROI. So again, super useful tool. I definitely use it a lot, and we'll use it a little bit later on as well. Okay, so next one, web to text. Lots of different use cases for this one. Market research, competitor analysis, again, trend monitoring, customer sentiment analysis. I use this for regulatory updates as well, to help summarize and stay on top of things. So what I also get it to do on a weekly basis for my newsletter is research the biggest news in AI for the last week and give me a summary. So it will go out to the big World Wide Web and pull that information together for me. And you can then use this with some of your other modalities once you've got that, and turn it into maybe a podcast script, a newsletter, or a webinar series. So here it is pulling that information together. I often check the dates. Up until about a month ago, it was trained on really old data and it wasn't up-to-date information, but I have found in the last 4 weeks, since they have released 4.0, it is getting faster and faster and more up-to-date with information, and it was also giving me the source document there as well. All right, I've just skipped ahead on my slides. So our next use case is from file to text. Again, so many use cases for this. I use this probably daily. Summarizing documents. So even financial analysis, financial statements, you can help people coach your team on how do they actually look at financial information. Reviewing of contracts is a big one that I've seen. So you have a legal contract. I wouldn't rely on this is only legal advice, but if you said, okay, ChatGPT, review this legal contract and give me the 5 problem areas that I should actually have my lawyer review to help keep your legal costs down. So what I'm now going to do again is flip back over into ChatGPT, and I'm going to get it to summarize the first couple of chapters of the book Success Principles by by Jack Canfield, Chicken Soup for the Soul. So I'm just going to pop that in, and it is going to summarize, once it's uploaded, summarize the entire book. Now, I use this for, you can imagine if you were at PwC, instead of staying up all night after the budget comes down from the government, which is what they used to do, and print out their, send out their newsletters, summarize the whole budget and output it to information that my customer, especially when you partner it with your ideal customer profile, it will create the specific tone that your customer will be looking for. So you can see here, it is now summarizing the book. It's given me the introduction, the structure of the book, and what's in each chapter. So it's an incredible time saver and just hits the absolute high notes. Okay, so I will head back over to my file. Our next modality, voice to voice. This is one of my favorites. I love the voice component, use it on my phone a lot. You can use this for practicing business pitches and get it to critique your business pitch, any of your presentations that you're doing to anyone, and get immediate verbal feedback. Interactive voice discussions, have it as a silent member in a brainstorming session or a strategy session, using voice commands to retrieve business intelligence documents, mock negotiations, etc. So again, the latest download of the 4.0, the latency or the lag between you speaking and it responding is supposed to reduce to 0. I have noticed between this presentation last week and this week, it is better, but it's still not at 0. But we do expect that to come out in the North American summer, because they have that already announced that. But it is getting absolutely much better. So again, feedback on brainstorming ideas, coaching you. We had an example in our community where one guy, we were interacting with it, said, okay, when you hear Spanish, give me the response in English. And when you hear English, give me the response in Spanish, meaning that you now can use ChatGPT to interact with anyone in any language at any particular point in time, which is quite mind-blowing. And one of the biggest hacks that you might consider is that whenever you are in the car, you can actually now turn your in-between moments into an on-demand university. One of the things that people may not be aware of is that these AI are trained in basically a copy of the entire published works on the internet. So whatever is on the internet is inside of these large language models, and you can ask it for a summary of your favorite book and ask for a refresher before you're going into a conversation. Or say something like, give me the top 10 ideas from this book and why it would apply to me in my role. I'm not going to do that in this session. I'm going to keep going on. We've got a lot still to get through. Finally, we've got our code to text. Again, heaps of use cases in this. Again, code review, error diagnosis, debugging errors. I'll show you another little trick. We're going to get it to analyze the code on this website. I'll show you how to get into a particular website and review the code that is on that website. So I've gone to read it for me. So this is a website that has the best summaries of business books around. And I've gone in and created all of this, seen that all of the source documents. So all you do on pretty much any website, if you click on the website, do Control and U, and it will pull up. So think about, oh, wow, I could actually get the SEO from my competitors' websites. I'm going to pick up this code and I am going to pop it into my chat and ask it to give me improvement suggestions on the code. And while it is doing that, here we go. Right, so it's giving me structure for the HTML, SEO enhancements, script, meta tags, as well as CSS and JavaScript. Now, I am not a developer, but what I used this for the other day, I was uploading my replay of this from my YouTube onto my website, and it was blowing out the entire side of the web page, which, not a great look. I wanted it to fit within the first fold of the website. So I put in, hey, can you please update this script to make sure it's responsive and on the same page? It outputted the code. I simply copied and pasted it in where I would normally paste the URL for the YouTube embed code, and it was fixed, and it took me less than a minute. So I didn't have to, what I would normally do is search on Google, try to understand what they're saying I need to do, figure out where I need to input it, and then actually update it. It was done in less than a minute and resolved. So incredible time saver, and a better quality experience for customers when I'm sending out that URL as well. So the other thing that we can get it to do based on that code is give me a detailed SEO report on it. So instead of actually outsourcing it to an SEO agency, we might have a look to see if there's anything that it will suggest that we're not already doing. So it is giving me some recommendations here for each of these sections. Now, that's not super detailed. I'd probably like it to go more detailed, which I would just say, go deeper here. Why is this important? What else could I be doing? This is actually a really good response today. Like I said, these responses are getting super fast and much, much better. This is the best response I've had to this prompt query so far. And I run the same query every single week. Just think about the use cases that you could use that with, and how you could make sure that your website is SEO optimized. So that brings me to the end of all of our use cases, our input and outputs. The question I asked in the beginning is, what tasks do you think you could automate based on, using generative AI, and what productive use cases using various combinations do you think you could imply now? So I'm going to pause and take a break and take a mouthful of water and ask if anybody has any questions or any feedback on that so far.
Just thank you. I've rewritten my LinkedIn profile whilst we've been sitting here, so that's good.
Very good. Very good.
I mean, I have a million questions, but I need to go and actually try a few of these things out. I just looked at, can you analyze the SEO on my website and suggest improvements? So I'm still at that base level, use text-to-text output.
Yeah.
But
awesome.
yeah, I'd like to get to the point where my default is, before doing anything, run it through AI and just and learn that way.
It's a mindset shift. It really is. That is the biggest thing that I had to come to grips with as well. As like, oh, I can actually use something else to help me here. Awesome. I'm going to flip back in. We're not done yet. We are at 10 to 1. I'm going to try to fly through the rest of this session. If I run over, if you have to leave, you're more than welcome to just drop off. I will keep recording, and I will send the entire recording through to you as well. So don't worry that you will be missing out. Our next part of when I'm actually training is actually to take people through what is your homework. And in the white belt's case, it would be to actually complete each of these tasks in a single GPT, and then do a screen recording on Loom to demonstrate that, send it through to me, and I will assess it with any questions that you might have as well. And that way we actually know that you know how to do it, not that you have heard and listened to it, and that way we can get you certified. All right. Normally I would also, in each of our training sessions, which they're pretty short, sharp, they all last for about an hour, we would have time, 10 or 15 minutes for Q&A. We won't do that obviously today, although I did just touch on it. Flying through the rest of the belts, just to give you an overview of what's in them. So in our yellow belt, we we'll go through really quite quickly. What we do here is 5 sections that we help people to really start to understand what their role responsibilities are. How can ChatGPT help them? How can we leverage it to go from, here's my role, what are my role responsibilities, what are my deliverables, how to create standard operating procedures for absolutely every part of my role, what could a monthly roadmap of my deliverables look like. Let's break that down into a weekly plan and then a daily checklist. So in terms of role responsibilities, again, I'm going to take a screenshot of this. This is using one of the modalities that we talked about before, where we do a text in, text out, and we're going to flip back to GPT, I think for one of the last times today. So please, I'm going to get it to list out from this image all of the ways that ChatGPT can help me. Just go and pop in the image. Actually, I do apologize, because of the history of the chat. I might just pop that in a brand new chat so it doesn't get confused. Okay, so here is the input and outputs that it has taken. So that's an example of, again, just the image to text. Use this one an awful lot. So what I'm going to then do is ask it. So now I'm X role. So I'm going to use, I'm a sales manager of a manufacturing company. List out my 12 role responsibilities here. So I'm going to pop that in. Feel free to try that for yourself if you are, and this works whether you are a small business owner and do everything yourself, or you are a role in your business, a role in a business. So I'm going to just pop that in here. And then as it's doing that, you'll see it is creating different role responsibilities. Our next step, which I won't go through today on that while it's doing that, and getting it ready, is to actually get it, and we give you the code all the way through all of these trainings. How do we actually create the input and output combinations across all of those areas that ChatGPT can help me with in my areas of responsibilities, and give me 3 options for each of those areas of responsibility. So this is where you can start to see, this is how my role can evolve from today, doing everything manually, to how I can start to do the actual deliverables for my role using generative AI. And we take people through how to do that. I am going to keep going, or else we will seriously run out of time. So I would walk through the rest of that yellow belt. We get to SOP and all the way to a daily checklist, and chunking it down to be able to then go through and execute and learn how AI and start to automate every single part of the role that ChatGPT can help with. Into the orange belt, this is where we start to use AI as a cognitive super assistant, basically having the world's top experts in every area of, in any area of business, coaching, leadership advice in your pocket 24 hours a day. There are 3 steps to that particular belt, and it's really about getting the problem chunked down into a digestible chunk, then understanding who out there in the world are experts that can help solve that problem, and creating an action plan based on their advice. So the output of this belt would actually give you the code now, code meaning the English version of the code, to create that expert that you have in your pocket at any point in time for any situation. I am now going to flip over to the green belt. As you can see going through there, there's a heap of code that we share with people. And that's where we teach you, take you through it. This is what you're learning, and this is how to amend and adjust it as you're going through for what you need it for. So in the green belt, this is the one where most people tell us, okay, there's no way I'm actually going to build a AI tool. However, what we know is that every single person has been through our black belt training, has produced AI tools. They become a tool developer. And this one in particular is quite a lengthy process. There's not a whole heap of time for Q&A in this one. We take them through absolutely every single step on how to do this, but they are, our trainings are pretty crisp, they're to the point. There's not a lot of fluff in them, but there is a step-by-step methodical process so that people don't get lost on the way through. So one of the critical things that we find in building GPTs is really having a clear idea of the problem you're trying to solve, and then work out the process that you're going to use to actually solve it. Again, like I said, it's more about mindset and psychology and process than it is just about the technology. But this is absolutely a technological belt as we go through. So I'm going to flip over into the blue belt now. What comes out of the side of the other side of the green belt is the ability to solve real problems as you're going. And what we have always almost found is that it's faster to build the tool than to actually do the work once, just one time. So if you're coming up against a task that you regularly do, you will almost certainly do it better, faster, and cheaper using a tool and building a tool for you. It's incredibly powerful. And this is really the belt that people start to gain an incredible amount of confidence in being able to use AI productively. All right, blue belt. So we are going to continue to go super fast. So once you've got into blue belt, you've got the ability to start building tools. Now we're going to start to exponentially increase the improvements in them. Very simple 3-step process. We go through Envision. You've seen this before. This is our Agile AI canvas. And this is the key to doing everything. It's a simple process. You don't need a fancy flow chart or a fancy spreadsheet or document or monday.com or anything. Just like simple email, write it down. Step 1, I do this. Step 2, I do this. Step 3, I do this, all the way down to your final output and deliverable, because typically that's what we actually do in our roles. Next, we're going to explore. We're going to explore the tools and how AI can help. We've already gone through that a little bit today, the input-output combinations, and we're going to ask ChatGPT, how can you help me in this particular task? So what we're going to do is then start to compress work that takes us a long time into a lot less time, and then let's go and exploit it so we can start to replicate that and come out the other side with a provable ROI that we're building into our GPTs. Here's how long it costs us to do it before, here's how long it's cost us to do it afterwards. So it's an X time improvement, which is really quite illuminating. And this is where we've seen the light bulb moments go off and people's confidence really soaring. Purple belt. So once we've done that, we move into purple belt, which is actually after the rest of them is a little bit of a breather. We actually start to explore, well, if I can do all that, what is actually the future of my role? And it's as relevant to solopreneurs as it is to employees. So if you're going to already build 100x improvements, what does it look like in the future to produce 1000x improvements, maybe even higher? An appropriate question to ask for some folks as they're going through this is, right, holy crap, what is the future of my role in if what I used to do is no longer in existence? So what we get people to do now is to start to look forward 1 to 2 steps to help really start to create this is the role of the future that I can create for myself, and how I can continue to add value in my role in the future. And it's really as good for the company as it is for them as an employee to teach them how to do that. Heading on into our brown belts, we're almost near the end. So this is the tool that gives you the ability to string together heaps of tasks across multiple tasks and also multiple departments, and exponentially building what you have done to date across entire departments. And we saw this before with the demonstration of that marketing agency, which was basically a 6-step process. And then we get to our black belt, and this is a reminder that we bring it all the way back to the beginning. It's as much about psychology as it is about technology and mentoring other people through this entire process, where what we have learned and we've seen is that people go from indifference, like I'll never use it, I don't need it in my business, I don't need it in my role, through to fear. I was like, if I don't use this, I'm not going to have a job, through to embarrassment, realizing as they're starting to build these tools that it can actually do it better, faster, and cheaper, starting to then gain confidence then into transformation. And I love the ability for us then to help really create company-wide culture of AI-powered growth. So it's really quite structured all the way through. And we have seen this over and over again. That stay-at-home mum, she hadn't worked in 20 years, was definitely afraid of technology. She's answering phones from customers now, taking problems, building GPTs and presenting it to the CEO as a solution before she's even talking to him, which has blown him away, and the customers are blown away as well. The fractional CFO, she's getting her reporting done in 2 hours a week, and this overworked manager, she can speed through 280 applications now, and spend more time with her family. So after this, foundation is now set, and you will now make a decision whether you want to continue on the journey once everybody in the organization is AI empowered. And our next step is actually to thinking about, okay, this is now what I need to do as a leader in managing a team that is using AI productively in an AI-powered workspace. And then ultimately, what does it take to look to lead an organization strategically and executionally that is also AI powered? I have also, just like I want to touch on this, I do get asked this quite a bit, privacy and OpenAI. Any tool that you are using, I encourage you to go and have a look at trust and privacy clauses. I do know that all of our tools that we use have this. If you are using ChatGPT Teams, it will not train your business data out there on the World Wide Web. However, I wouldn't put confidential IP or information, financial information that is not cleansed. You can put it in there that is not identifiable to you, but putting anything in the lower level or free versions of those apps, I would steer clear of as well. So what's next? So what I would love to offer, if you have found value from today's workshop and webinar, I would love to come in and present the same thing to your team and take them through this journey and begin on that journey too. So if you are interested, let me know. You can click on that QR code. It will take you through to my Calendly link to book up next step. And that is it for today. We have gone over by 2 minutes. I am going to stop the screen recording right now.